Morning, guys. It's Mike from Pattern Traders. January 7th, the first weekend of the new year. I want to wish everybody a happy new year and a blessed one going forward. So far, with what I see in BTC at the moment, nothing is alarming. Everything still looks good. I'm a deviation type of player when it comes to the range, so kind of I kind of see this as being a negative factor to this whole structure, meaning this is your range low, this is your range high, and we deviated the range high, and then we close back into the range. But there's a bullish bullish indication here that you need to be aware of. We're making ascending supports, basically higher lows across the whole board. So even though we did crash and deviate back into the range, we haven't made a lower low yet. So to me, this shows me that this particular upcoming week right now, before the 15th, should offer a breakout. That is where the concern would actually come into play. When we break out, if we raid this high that we put in last week at 45.8, if we raid this high and then we break back below, at that point, then you need to assume we are coming back down here, roughly about like a 90% chance. If we break back above and do something like this and come back into this range, it's over. We're going back down below. Also, keep in mind, guys, I know, hold on, I got to show this to you guys so that you could see. Be aware of this particular level. Let's go to a lower time frame so you can see it clearer. And let's go to bar display right here. All right. All right, I'm going to identify this so we have it on the chart so you guys could see. This was a previous, let's just say a Monday low untaken, okay? Monday low untaken. And this is important because you don't really continue to the top side without taking these lows out, okay? And then this was another Monday low untaken. And this was all in December. So let's get rid of this, get rid of this, let's get rid of this, get rid of this. I want you to identify these levels, and then price label, price label. Why doesn't it show the price label? I don't know what it's doing, but this is kind of silly. So the first Monday low that, personally speaking, should be taken is going to be at 40,000.5. The next one is going to be 40,000.1. But there is a CME gap at 39.6, 39.5, around there. Now, I'm not a gap player, but you have way too much confluence that if you are, let's go back to the bitstamp, one more, right here. If you have these particular lows that are intact and they're Monday lows, and December's Monday lows, which so it's last year's Monday lows, and then you have a CME gap at $39,000, you need to be aware that if we do happen to go back up for another raid of the main high, which is going to be roughly at, I don't know, whatever the main high is. Well, CME is higher, right? 46.9, but regular is 45.5. If you happen to go back above this and close back under, it's game over, man. It's game over. So be aware of that. Yeah, so regular is roughly about like 45.8, whatever the case is. I want you to identify these two lows. Keep them on your chart in case we do happen to go for a sweep. And the CME, as you have down here, wherever it's going to be, 38, 39, keep it on your chart, identify it. It's an important level, man. It's an important level. I'm not bearish. I'm just afraid that we moved up so far without having a proper retest that we're going to collapse to the downside after this particular breakout. Ethereum has been bleeding for I don't even know how many weeks right now. Just terrible. Every single time we try to go back up for a fucking new high, it just gets swacked. So when you start seeing wicks like this, that's not a good sign. And every single time we come back down here, we have buy pressure. But we can't get back up, which means more along the lines of we're probably going to go back to the teens, 18 to $1,900 for Ethereum. The only thing that I will tell you to do is open up your order block indicator, right, for the higher time frame to be able to identify what levels to buy. And tell yourself, where is the daily, 2-day, and 3-day order block? That's what you need to be identifying right now. Don't be looking at the 4-hour, don't be looking at the 12-hour. We are in a high time frame dump, which means that you need to be looking at high time frame support and resistances. Most important level for Ethereum is going to be sub 2000, this particular order block over here. You also have a 3-day sitting that is completely freshly untapped at 2074. 3-day at 2074. Your 2-day is a little too low, which I don't think we're even going to go near yet until we get a dump. I mean, a reaction first from this. So likelihood, if we do happen to get a dump to the downside, this will offer us an opportunity to ride it back up, which is probably going to give us another opportunity with the altcoins. And then from there, I think that we're going to end up having a bigger dump to the downside. So I will be extremely cautious with what's going to happen in the next maybe 2 weeks or so. I don't want to make the video too long. I don't want to be too bearish, but you have to take in consideration from a higher time frame perspective that you are still sitting on a freshly untapped 2-day order block, which is going to be a supply zone. Also, the deviation before the break to the downside. Let's take this blue and put it all the way down here. So look at that range, right? Look where we are. This is your main consolidation. You deviated it, you broke to the downside, and now you're finally in this, and you're at the range top again, range high, whatever you want to call it. I'd be cautious, man. I'd be cautious. I wouldn't be sitting here buying fresh longs up here at resistance. I wouldn't be doing that, especially because this looks like a pure deviation, right? Even though on the lower time frame it still looks good for me, and I still expect this to break out. I think the breakout will be a fake out. This still looks good to me, right? It still looks good, but I think it's going to be a fake out. And if when we do happen to fake this out, and if we do happen to fake this out, and we go for the previous 2022's yearly high, target's going to be $39,000. That's how I'm playing this right now, guys. Be very cautious. I'm not trying to be bearish, but just be cautious. Now, regarding the oscillators and the indicators that we have, I'm going to say this one more time. The order block indicator is the only thing you need on high time frame right now to be able to buy a dip when it comes to altcoins and when it comes to majors. You could also play the fair value gap as well. The fair value gap usually offers you a resistance or support at that level. You do not break through a high time frame fair value gap the first attempt. So obviously this is going to be the first fair value gap below us as to where we are. As you can see on a weekly time frame, we can't even freaking close a weekly candle above this level over here. Guarantee you the weekly is going to close below 43.7 today, right? And then so we're consolidating between this particular range. And if you go to the daily, look what we've been doing. Absolutely nothing, just chopping around in this range. So the weekly fair value gap is right below us. Let's identify this as 39.9. Get this thing out of here. And 38.4, which means that it is clear as day that if we do happen to go back down here, I'm going to end up buying the dip fairly hard. You're not breaking this weekly fair value gap at the first attempt. Keep that in mind, guys. Open up the indicators. Even if you don't have it, identify the levels as I'm telling you right now. 39.9, 38.4. The CME is in there. At that point, if we do happen to go below there, you're going to take out the monthly. I mean the Monday lows, right? The Monday lows are, sorry about that, guys. The Monday lows are pretty clean. They're here. They're sitting. They're not really, they haven't been taken yet. Keep that in mind. And that's pretty much it from BTC's perspective. On the higher time frame, if you look at the oscillators, everything still looks good. Everything still looks good for continuation. I'm not worried at all. I think that we're going to go fairly higher overall, but it doesn't mean that we can't take a nice little dip to the downside, right? And if we do happen to go fairly lower than where we currently are, for whatever reason, if we get some really bad news, you know that you're not going to break under $28,000. This is a weekly order block. It's fresh. It's never been tapped. This over here. If we do happen to miraculously go there for whatever reason that we saw the news and it comes all the way down here, beautiful. Good opportunity. Right? Good opportunity. Keep that in mind when you're playing BTC. I wouldn't touch altcoins right now. I'd wait a little bit. Wait a little bit longer. I have a list of altcoins that I'm going to buy once we do happen to get a 30 or 40% dump, even a 20% dump on BTC. Think about it from that perspective. If we get a 20% dump from BTC, let's delete all this. So we don't want to see this, right? 20% dump from BTC from where we are over here. 20% dump from BTC from where we are will bring us all the way back down to 35s. I personally think that it's probably going to come from a lot higher. So if it does come from 2022's yearly high, which is going to be over here, 48,000, where does that put us, guys? That puts us 20% dump. There you go, at $38,000. Everything points to $38,000. Whether it comes from here or whether it comes from 48 to 50K, the way I see it is I'm going to put one little box over here and I'm going to tell myself, shave even more money out. That's it. I'm already like pretty much, 60 or 50% out of the market in stables. Um, and I've been shaving off to the top side. But you're not going to catch the bottom and you're not going to catch the top. That's just a rule of thumb, unless you're just that good at what you're doing. I'm not that good at what I'm doing. I'm not going to catch the top, so I'd rather shave as I'm going out, right? And I need the capital. Otherwise, I'm going to have to get new capital from other sources to bring back into the market. And I don't want to do that. I want to recycle the capital that I have and mitigate my risk. So a lot of people are on the sidelines and they're waiting for this dump. So it could potentially not come. And I could be wrong. And at that point, I'm going to have to buy a weekly close above $48,000. Because if we do happen to get a weekly close above this area, this 48,000, you know for a fact you're going to the next level above, which is going to be 60,000. So any weekly close above this, I don't think it's going to happen, guys. I'm being serious, unfortunately for us, is going to teleport us to 60,000, right? All this is air. All this in here is air. There's nothing really in here. So anything in the yellow box is air if we close above this. You have some significant levels. Where is it? It was like a 51, I think it was. Where was it? Or 50 something, 53, 54. I don't know where I saw it. I saw an over under somewhere. Here we go. This is what I saw right here. This bad boy. So it's not. It's pretty high up. It's 55,000. So there's a level at $55,000 that could potentially reject us, which means that we would go for this liquidity over here, right at 52K, and then reject us to the downside. But I don't see it happening. Well, that's how I'm playing BTC, guys. Keep in mind. Otherwise, what you're doing right now is you're basically consolidating in a 3-day order block, which is fairly bullish. So I'm not too worried about the pump up. If it happens, it's going to be more along the lines of a liquidity grab, so I got to be very cautious with it. And I also want to show you one more thing about the DMX. So DMX is something that I always look at on a higher time frame only. I don't really look at it on a scalping perspective, but on the monthly time frame, let's go to Bitstamp. Good. On a monthly time frame, this is the first time we got an algo fire. Algo fire is this dark red little sign at the resistance area, which is the red zone, right? The red zone is the resistance zone. This is the first indication of us having to be careful and be cautious. Now look what happened last time we had it over here. This is where we had it, right here. So this is where we're having the same exact position. Now what happened over here? Let's zoom in. It was this little bad boy over here. I guarantee you it's at least a 30% dump. There you go, 40% dump, guys. And we're literally at that same area. And I hope that you guys are watching this right now. So guys, be cautious, man. There's so much more opportunity to come if we do happen to get a proper dip to the downside. The way this DMX broke out, the way we have, I think it was a weekly that shows it crystal clear. Hold on, let me show you. You got to see. There we go. There we go. Yes. All right. This might look a little choppy to you guys because it's, pretty crazy indicator. But the way we broke out over here on the DMX, let's delete all this. You can see it crystal clear. Very bullish, guys. This is very bullish. Very bullish. You broke to the top side, you hit the resistance, which is the red line, and you come back down. Every single time BTC hits this line all the way at the top, it creates some kind of deviation. Not this, sorry. Deviation, and it offers a dump, right? So the first one was over here, and you went over here as a deviation. And then when you did the deviation, it offered, I think, maybe a 30% dump. There we go, 31% dump. I know it's small, guys, but I'm trying to show you that when you have this indicator hit the red line over here, guys, you got to be cautious, man. You have to be cautious. Now, there is an opportunity to buy the buy zone, which is the middle, right? The buy zone always offers a pump, which is over here, right? It offers a pump. I don't know how big of a pump we're going to get, but the buy zone currently sitting right now, if I put on the information panel, is sitting at 30,000 to 37,000, right? Is the buy zone, which is green. The mid zone, which is the yellow, is 41.1 to 41.3, which means more likely than not, you're going to wick to $38,000. That's just the way it works. So be cautious, guys. If we do happen to get an opportunity to do something like this, and it grabs onto the mid, you're going to buy this, and we're going to target, again, the sell zone, the red. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. Guys, be very cautious of BTC at the moment. I can't see this thing doing anything significant without some kind of like retracement to the downside. Any move to the top side is likely going to be a liquidity grab. And other than that, everything still looks good in my eyes. You still have your 2-day hidden bull div, right? Hidden bull div. You have it on the RSX as well, which means this is going to easily go for a third poke. 1, 2, 3. So to me, guys, everything is pointing to up. But this up is what I'm worried about. Is this the final up before we get a 20 or 30% dump? That's the main question. Now, it could be wrong, could not be wrong, but just be cautious, guys. Be cautious. Otherwise, I do expect us to break out this week. Cheers. Trade safe. DMs are always open. If you want to try the indicators, you know what the links are, guys.